Welcome back, everybody. Man, the crypto world just never slows down, does it?
Definitely not. It seems like every day there's something new to talk about.
Well, speaking of new developments, remember those U.S. tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports we talked about last week? Those have been put on hold for at least 30 days.
That's good news, at least for now.
Yeah, for sure. Gives everyone a chance to breathe and figure out what's next. But today we're shifting gears to a topic that's been absolutely on fire lately, XRP.
XRP. It seems like it's everywhere you look these days. And we've got some interesting articles to dive into. Bold prediction. XRP holders on the path to millionaire status analyst. Ripple CEO shortlisted for Trump's Crypto Advisory Council. And XRP could be the best performer of 2025. Here's why. So where do you want to start?
Well, I think we got to start with that incredible price surge. The Motley Fool article mentioned that XRP shot up by, get this, 300% in the last 2 months of 2024.
From 50 cents to $2, that's a pretty remarkable jump, even for crypto. Makes you wonder what's fueling that kind of growth.
Right. It's not like the entire crypto market was up that much.
Yeah.
Something special must be happening with XRP.
Absolutely. And one of the things that people are buzzing about is this idea of XRP creating millionaires, which is a claim coming out of TradingView News.
Millionaires, huh? That definitely caught my attention.
Yeah, their analyst Steph is looking at XRP's historical performance, particularly back in 2017 when it saw an 802% spike in just a few months.
802%. Wow. But is it really realistic to think that could happen again? I mean, a lot has changed since 2017.
That's a good point. While past performance can be an indicator, it's not a guarantee, and it's worth noting that TradingView also included analysis from Dom, who suggested that this 2017 pattern, this fractal, as some traders call it, might not be repeating this time.
Okay, so maybe we should temper our expectations a bit. Plus, even if XRP did go on a similar run, hitting that millionaire status isn't quite as straightforward as it sounds, right?
Right. I mean, for someone holding, let's say, 20 XRP, the price would have to hit an astronomical $50,000 per token.
$50,000. Wow. Okay, so maybe not everyone holding XRP is going to be swimming in cash, but it's clear something significant is driving this momentum.
Definitely. And one factor that could play a major role is actually politics. Crypto Times is reporting that Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, is on the shortlist for Trump's new Crypto Advisory Council.
The Crypto Advisory Council. Remind me what that is again?
Well, it's basically a group that will have a huge say in shaping crypto regulations in the U.S. over the next 4 years. They'll be making decisions on things like whether cryptocurrencies are classified as securities or commodities.
Oh, right. And that classification determines which regulatory body oversees them, either the SEC or the CFTC. Huge implications for XRP.
Absolutely. This council's decisions could make or break XRP's future in the U.S. And according to Crypto Times, it's going to be a pretty competitive selection process. Apparently, there are only 24 spots, with big names like Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong and Chris Marszalek from Crypto.com all vying for a seat.
Wow. It's like a crypto all-star team.
Yeah.
But hey, at least it sounds like they're prioritizing experience over political connections, right? I mean, Bitcoin investor Aubrey Strobel even pointed that out.
Yeah, it does seem like they're trying to get the best and brightest minds in the room to figure this stuff out.
Good to hear. Because let's be honest, the decisions made by this council are going to have a massive impact on the entire crypto world. And speaking of impacts, we can't ignore that big looming elephant in the room, the ongoing SEC case against Ripple. The Motley Fool article gave a good summary of that legal battle. Basically, the SEC claims that XRP was improperly launched as an unregistered security back in 2020.
Right, a case that's been dragging on for years, creating all kinds of uncertainty for Ripple and XRP holders.
For sure. But here's where things get really interesting. With the change in leadership at the SEC, Gary Gensler out, and Paul Atkins, who's considered to be more crypto-friendly, now in charge, some folks are saying we could see a resolution of this case sooner than later.
Yeah, and one that potentially favors Ripple. In fact, they've even started hiring domestically again, which seems like a pretty bold move given the ongoing legal situation.
It's a sign that they're feeling optimistic about their future, and that optimism is also being fueled by another potential game changer, spot XRP ETFs.
Spot XRP ETFs, those could be huge. The Motley Fool article suggested that we could see these launch as early as mid-2025. That would make it so much easier for everyday investors to get exposure to XRP.
Imagine the impact on the price. JP Morgan Chase is even predicting something like $8 billion in new investments pouring into XRP if those ETFs get approved. $8 billion. That's a tidal wave of money.
Now, before we get too carried away, it's important to remember that we're still in the realm of speculation here. The SEC case is far from over, and institutional demand for XRP is still a bit of a question mark.
Absolutely. The Motley Fool made it clear that there are a lot of moving pieces. But hey, they also highlighted some other factors that could push XRP even higher. Things like a potential Ripple IPO or their continued development of the XRP-powered payment network.
There's definitely a lot of potential there, and I think it all boils down to connecting the dots and seeing how these different developments could impact XRP's trajectory.
Right. And speaking of trajectories, earlier you mentioned a pretty thought-provoking question. Something about XRP being included in a U.S. strategic reserve of digital assets.
Yeah, that's an idea that's been floating around. Imagine the potential impact of the U.S. government essentially endorsing XRP as a strategic asset. Now, that would really shake things up.
That's definitely a conversation for another time. We've barely scratched the surface on that one.
Absolutely. There's a lot more to unpack there.
All right, so let's dig into this whole strategic reserve idea a little deeper. I mean, it's not every day you hear about the U.S. government potentially backing a cryptocurrency.
It's definitely uncharted territory. I mean, we've seen governments experiment with digital currencies before, but this idea of a strategic reserve, it's a whole new ballgame.
It really makes you wonder, what would it even mean for XRP if it were to get this stamp of approval from the U.S. government?
Well, one of the biggest impacts I can see is on institutional investors. You know, those big players who have been a bit hesitant to jump into crypto because of regulatory concerns and price volatility.
Yeah, they've always been kind of cautious, haven't they?
Exactly. But if the U.S. government, with all its economic weight, were to say, hey, we see XRP as a strategically valuable asset, it could be a major signal to those institutions.
Almost like a green light for them to finally start allocating a portion of their portfolios
Yeah.
to crypto, specifically XRP.
Exactly. And remember what happened with Bitcoin when companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla added it to their balance sheets?
Oh yeah, the price went through the roof.
Right.
And it definitely gave Bitcoin a lot more legitimacy in the eyes of many.
Precisely. And I think we could see a similar effect with XRP. If the U.S. government backs it, it could trigger a wave of institutional investment.
Driving up demand and pushing the price even higher. But it's not just about investors, right? Think about the potential impact on global trade and finance.
Oh, absolutely. If the U.S. considers XRP strategically important, it could encourage other countries to take notice.
We could see central banks adding XRP to their reserves, or even countries using the Ripple payment network for cross-border transactions.
Exactly. XRP could become a key player in the global financial system. That kind of shift in perception would have a massive impact on its long-term value.
Okay, so we're painting a pretty optimistic picture here. But we got to be realistic, right? I mean,
Well,
there's no guarantee that XRP will even be included in the strategic reserve.
You're absolutely right. It's still just a proposal, and there are other cryptocurrencies vying for that spot as well.
And even if XRP is included, it's impossible to predict exactly how the market will react. Crypto's notoriously volatile.
Oh, for sure. There are so many factors that could influence the price, from regulatory news to social media sentiment.
So it's important to remember there are a lot of unknowns. But at the same time, you can't ignore the potential, right? I mean, the very fact that the U.S. is considering a strategic reserve for digital assets shows that they're taking crypto seriously.
Couldn't agree more. And if XRP were to be a part of that, it could really change the game for the whole industry. It's something worth keeping a very close eye on.
Absolutely. And speaking of keeping an eye on things, I think it's important to also acknowledge some of the challenges and risks associated with XRP.
Yeah.
We've talked about the potential upsides, but we need to be realistic about the downsides as well, right?
Absolutely. We need to look at both sides of the coin. And we'll dive into those challenges and risks in the next part of our conversation.
All right, so we spent a lot of time talking about the potential upsides for XRP. But as with any investment, there are risks involved.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's super important that we address those head on. I mean, we don't want to paint a picture that's all sunshine and rainbows.
Right. Got to be real with folks, and part of being real is acknowledging the challenges and uncertainties that XRP faces.
Absolutely. And I think the most obvious one is, well, that elephant in the room we keep coming back to.
You mean the SEC case?
Exactly. That thing has been hanging over XRP for years now.
It's definitely created a lot of uncertainty, that's for sure.
Yeah, and even though we have a new SEC head who's considered to be, more crypto-friendly, there's still no guarantee that the outcome of the case will be positive for Ripple.
Right. And if it doesn't go their way, it could have some pretty significant consequences. I mean, we're talking about potential impacts on investor confidence,
Yeah.
XRP's listing on exchanges.
Oh, yeah. It could be a real mess.
Bet you.
So anyone thinking about investing in XRP definitely needs to factor that risk into their decision.
For sure. And even if the SEC case gets resolved favorably, there's still the question of broader adoption, particularly from those big institutional players.
Hmm.
We talked about the potential of spot XRP ETFs, but even if those get approved, it doesn't necessarily mean institutions will just jump on board.
Right. I mean, some might still see XRP as too volatile or too risky compared to something like Bitcoin.
And we can't forget about the competition. The crypto world is constantly evolving. I mean, new projects and technologies are popping up all the time.
Exactly. Like, XRP isn't the only player in the cross-border payments game. They're going to have to keep innovating to stay ahead.
Absolutely. It's like a race to the top, which actually brings me to another point, the whole issue of market volatility. Crypto in general is notorious for its wild price swings, and XRP is no exception to that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, no matter how strong the fundamentals are, no matter how widely adopted it becomes, there are always external factors, regulatory news, social media hype, you name it, that can send the price soaring or plummeting.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. So what's the takeaway here for investors?
I think the most important thing is to approach crypto, and XRP specifically, with a balanced perspective. Don't get swept up in the hype. Do your research, understand the risks, and never, ever invest more than you can afford to lose.
Couldn't agree more. It's about finding that sweet spot between, I guess you could say, optimism and realism. Acknowledging the potential of XRP while also being aware of the potential pitfalls.
Exactly. It's about being informed and being smart with your money.
Well said. So, wrapping up, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, explored both the potential and the challenges facing XRP.
Yeah, we dove into the price surge, the SEC case, the potential impact of government backing, the risks of volatility.
We even touched on those thought-provoking questions about a U.S. strategic reserve for digital assets and what that can mean for the future of XRP.
Definitely a lot to consider. Hopefully our conversation today has given our listeners a more, I guess you could say, nuanced understanding of XRP.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage everyone to stay curious, do their own research, and keep learning about this incredible and ever-evolving world of crypto.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that brings us to the end of another episode. To all our amazing listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss our future episodes. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the most fascinating and important topics shaping our world. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, stay informed.